Hello Captains, it's the Doctor, and welcome back to another video for Star Trek Online. This is another guide video. Today I'm going to be going over the tactical career in the brand new skill system introduced in Season 11.5. Previously, I did a video on the science skill system and under a science career. Got a lot of feedback from that. I really appreciate it. There are a lot of passionate opinions about it and different builds you can make under the science career, and I'm sure there will be plenty of talk about different builds you could build under the tactical career as well. Naturally, I just have to lead with a disclaimer that everybody has their own opinion on what works best for the skills. And, there really is no right way or wrong way. There's just your way. Do it to have fun. Remember, this is a game. Remember that if you're not having fun in the game, then there's just no point. This game is meant for entertainment. So fly whatever ship you want, have fun. Use whatever skill system, setup, build you want, have fun. I am just showing you a method that has worked for me. And on the science career, that build that I showed you did work for me in getting DPS. Is it the best science build ever? Absolutely not. Of course not. And I even said that in the video. It was good for a DPS build, but it wasn't good to exploit science powers. And I said that in the video. If you are going to use a lot of science powers, that might not have been the best build for that. But anyway, maybe it was, I don't know. One thing about that build on the science career is it did enable like all of the science skills. So whether you had a control effect, whether you had a part gen thing or whatever power you used was pretty much going to be buffed by that build anyway. But what it didn't do too well was to buff power, like auxiliary power and other things that will affect science power. So no, it wasn't the perfect build for some things. It's just an idea. It's one idea out of many. So that's, again, what I'm going to show you today here on the tactical. This is one idea out of many. This is in no means meant to be the best possible build you could ever make. No, this is just one way. It's working for me. Maybe it'll work for you. Maybe it won't. Maybe you do something else. Maybe that's fine. Everyone has different reasons and motives for creating their skills, right? Everyone does it for different reasons. This one I'm going to show you today on my tactical character. Say hello to the War Doctor here. This is my full tactical character flying an Escort. So this is a tactical Escort build, very pure vanilla, going to be all tactical here pretty much. This build is built for DPS. I figure if you're going to fly a tactical character or you're going to fly an Escort, you're probably building for DPS. Now, you don't have to. You can do other things. You're free to do that. But I have built this one that I'm about to show you in the skill system here is based on DPS. What DPS am I getting? Well, with this current build, I just parsed in an ISA 45.1K. That's right. I'm doing 45K with this build. So that is pretty powerful. I mean, you will have no problem with PvE in-game content playing any STF in Advanced or Elite doing 45K. That's a good amount to have. If you're above 40, you're good. You're golden. So, again, I'm going to show that at the end of this video. I will show an ISA, that same ISA run. I recorded it. I will show the run. And at the end, you will see the DPS parsed using SCM. So you will see that there. My name is at the doctor dot, or at the _doctor dot. So look for that character name when you look in the parsing results. I'll kind of circle it with my mouse, but it is 45.1K. So I'm really proud of that. That's my highest to date, and I'm very happy for that. So this build gets me to that. So I've got really, I'm satisfied with that. I've really got nothing to complain about there as far as doing DPS on this character. And I'm sure I could do even more. I am not using the best weapons on this character. I don't have a lot of damage, crit D, or pen. I got no pen at all. My weapons are only ultra rare. They're not epic or anything. So my weapons have a lot of room for improvement. So if I had different modifiers on my weapons and I made them epic, I would easily hit 50k on this character. So there is potential for growth there. Anyway, that just kind of gives you an idea where I am. By the way, that ISO run, I have no commentary in it at all. It was just me running it. I didn't have the microphone turned on, so I'm going to put music to it just like I did the last video. So no commentary on the ISO run, just music. All right, let's look at what we've got here. First of all, bring up our character. You'll see I am I'm a tactical officer, level 60. The ship that I am currently flying is a Crinum Imperium warship, tier 6. Naturally, just like your science abilities or science skill, you want to first set your buff powers. You want to set your bridge officer powers for your character before you set your skills, because you need to make sure that the skills buff your bridge officer powers. Bridge officer powers are very important in a DPS build, so you want to make sure that you set your bridge officer powers and then set up your skills. So for my character, I am using a lot of tactical powers here. I am using cannons, so I have rapid fire, I have scatter volley, I've got torpedo spread, I've got attack pattern alpha, beta. I thought I had gamma somewhere. Maybe that's on a different ship. Yeah, you know what? I'm thinking of a different character for that, but I've got at least alpha and beta. I mean, that's pretty much my tactical powers there. I got just engineering things to help keep me alive, reverse shield polarity engineering team, emergency power to weapons for a little more DPS, emergency power to shields, science powers. I got scramble sensors, I got science team 2 and hazard emitters. Basically, it's just stuff to help keep me alive. And then this one is probably not the best use of this science ability, but that was kind of like just put in there when I slotted this ship, so I just kind of left it there. I haven't really changed that yet. There might be a better science ability I could put there, but I'm not going to mess with it right now. Okay, so now let's go to reputation. Let's go to skills, because that's what we're looking at here. These are my skills. This is the my tactical skill build here for Season 11.5. This is also going to be a similar build to what I have on Rami Summers, which I'm doing a Let's Play of a Federation playthrough on a free-to-play character instead of a paying character. I'm doing that on a whole different Let's Play series, and I am going to continue that now that I have figured out what works for a tactical character pretty well. I'm kind of putting that on her, so she will also have the same kind of build. But here's what I got, and what you're going to notice is there's a ton of stuff in tactical, naturally. There's more stuff in engineering than there is in science. Yeah, literally, I've only got 4 in science. So down here you can see I've got 17 engineering, 4 science, 25 tactical. I went nuts on tactical for a specific reason. I wanted to get to the enhanced ability of Focused Frenzy. So in order to do that, I had to put, of course, a lot in there. But I wanted to anyway because it really helps with doing more damage pretty much, because a lot of those abilities there is either more damage in terms of doing more crit damage or crit chance or penetration or stuff like that. So that's why I wanted to go. So let's start here at the lieutenant row here. You'll notice I put nothing in engineering. I put nothing in science. If you wanted to change something here and put something into engineering, I think what might be beneficial for a tactical character would be hull restoration, or not hull capacity. It is actually, I do have it here. It's damage control. Well, okay. Anyway, hull restoration. So one of the big things, of course, about an escort is they are like flying glass cannons, often called. Their hull is not as strong as a cruiser or even a science ship. So, you lose a lot of health if you get hit, pretty much. But if you boosted this hull restoration, what would happen there is if you use something like engineering team, for example, you would gain more hull strength each time you, or when you use the ability, it would boost that ability. So that's something you could put in if you were taking like a lot of damage and you needed to, you needed to have very large heals to yourself. That would be something you could do. I wouldn't worry about hull capacity here. I would save that for a cruiser. They've got that's where your tanking is going to be, is in a cruiser. What you should probably do is leave your resistances and your tanking abilities on your traits rather than your skills. Use your skills to do the damage, and use your traits to do the resistances and the hull strength or shield strength or that kind of stuff, because there are traits that will boost those things. So anyway, I didn't use any of these. I also didn't use science. This was, again, you have shield restoration, same as hull restoration, but for shields, or you have shield capacity. I'm going to leave the shield capacity and the shield hull strength, the shield capacity and the hull capacity for my engineering build, and leave it off on my tactical build. Same thing with all that. But what I did put in, of course, is to max out energy weapon training. I think really any build, whether it's science, tactical, or engineering, should probably have the energy weapon training maxed out anyway, and also projectile training, because if you've got a torpedo, then that's, you want that. Now, if you don't have any torpedoes on your ship and you are just using just energy weapons, then you could leave off the projectile weapon training, obviously. But most people will have at least one torpedo on, so I feel that these are just kind of necessary on any build anyway. But naturally, for a tactical DPS build, you want to max out the energy weapon training, and then I am using a torpedo, so I do want to max out the projectile weapon training as well. I want my torpedoes to actually do a lot of damage too. So that is the pretty simple there, really, for the lieutenant column or row here. And all it takes is putting these three here and these three here, and that opens you up to the lieutenant commander. So you can literally ignore engineering and science in that row. Now for lieutenant commander, let's just start on the tactical. You've got targeting expertise. This is basically your accuracy. If an attacker's accuracy is greater than a target's defense hit chance is 100% attacker's accuracy. This is just accuracy. While not as important for PvE as it once was, it is very important for PvP. Not as much for PvE, but it still does make a difference. Accuracy, it's a thing. It's something you do want to hit your target, and especially if you're using like cannons, like I am. That's probably going to make more of an effect if you're using cannons. If you're using beams, maybe not so much, unless you use beam fire at will. Maybe it'll really affect that. I'm not sure. But there's just really no reason to just not go ahead and max out all your accuracy there. Then you have defensive maneuvering. This is something that pretty much I would only use on a tactical or escort build. I wouldn't use it on science or engineering. This is defensive maneuvering. This skill increases the chance that enemies' attacks will not hit you. Per point of defensive maneuvering skill, you gain plus 0.15% defense. So this is basically will keep the enemy, or make it hard for the enemy to hit you, which on an escort is very important, because again, you're like glass cannon. You break easy, and so if you can not have them hit you in the first place, then you can do more damage to them and less damage to you. Now this used to tie in with maneuvering. I guess it still does tie in with maneuvering. Let's see. If an attacker's accuracy is greater than a target's defense hit chance is 100%. Hit chance can never drop below 20%. Any hit chance in excess of 100% instead grants small bonus to critical chance and critical severity. So it says defensive maneuvering. It doesn't actually help with maneuvering. What it used to help with in the past, I think, was your alpha, beta, delta, gamma abilities, but I guess this doesn't do that anymore. So I don't know what actually buffs your alpha. I guess there is nothing now. Did they take that away, that buffs your alpha, beta, delta, gamma abilities? Those abilities? Maybe so. Also, I did put in EPS, very important. EPS is really important on any build, especially if you have a lot of energy weapons. You definitely want a good, a high EPS. Now, some people have gotten on to me in the comments. Yes, I read your comments about using an EPS console. Using EPS consoles still on my ships, thinking that maybe I don't need those anymore, that I could just use the skill system EPS and forego an actual EPS console on my ship. Well, I could, but I mean, why not? What else am I going to use that slot for? I think that having a really high EPS really helps. I just think it does. I think it's a good thing to have as high of an EPS as you can. 300, 400%. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking for. So anyway, I maxed out here in the skill system, level 1, and then the level 2 improved EPS flow. So you get the maximum EPS you can get. And then I think very important for an escort is going to be your impulse speed, your maneuvering ability. The faster you maneuver, and the more you can move, the faster you can move, and the faster you can maneuver, the higher your defense will be, and the harder it is for your enemy to hit you. So I've got this full impulse energy shunt. I really like this. This skill provides a direct bonus to the transfer of power that occurs when using full impulse, allowing your weapon, shields, and auxiliary subsystems to maintain higher power levels. By default, activating full impulse will set your engine subsystems target to 100, while all other subsystems drop to a target of 5. By investing in full impulse energy shunt, those targets are increased to 125 for your engine subsystems and 25 in all other systems. Basically, this will help you when you ride into a situation in full impulse and then come out of full impulse. You'll have all the power you need to do damage. Otherwise, if you don't, it does take a few seconds for that power to get there for your weapons. Now, if you have a really high EPS, EPS, electroplasma systems, you could probably overcome that. But this just helps further. So you can ride in real fast and full impulse and not have to worry about your power levels being real low when you go into combat. I really like this ability. I'm glad it's there, and I can easily enable it on this build and have no problem. The other thing in engineering that I definitely wanted to have was impulse expertise. This skill increases the speed and turn rate of your starship. While each starship has its own base value for each of these, each point of impulse expertise skill always provides a bonus of 0.4% to those base values. Your base speed and turn rate values are determined by a combination of your ship's impulse modifier, your level, engine power, and the quality of your equipped impulse engines. This is just going to simply help you in battle just a ton. You can fly quickly to your enemy, you can maneuver and turn really fast, you can get in position, get out of position, get out of their firing range if you need to go heal real quick and then get back in and do damage. Remember now that there is a damage fall off with weapon power or weapon distance. If you're within 9 kilometers of your enemy, you're going to be doing less damage than if you are in 3 kilometers of your enemy. So having this ability maxed out helps get you back and doing more damage, so you can get close to your enemy and also get away from your enemy pretty quickly. Just maneuver really good, and you won't have to worry about sitting there tanking damage. You can just get in and get out, and that also increases your defense the faster you move as well. So I mean, I think this just goes hand in hand with an escort. It's going to make you move fast, maneuver fast. It's going to make flying an escort really fun, basically. So advanced impulse expertise, I maxed that out. Again, control expertise and drain expertise for science, leave it completely alone. Don't need it. I'm not using gravity well. I'm not using control effects. I'm not using drain effects. I'm not doing any of that stuff. So totally leave that off. Okay, now we come down to the commander row. This one is hull plating. This one would help make you more tanky for sure, but I'm leaving again those resistances to my traits rather than my skills for this escort. However, I did max out damage control. This skill increases the rate at which your hull is passively repaired over time. Each point of damage control skill increases your regeneration rate by 1% of its base regeneration values. Basically, this is going to increase the regeneration rate of your hull. Now, why that's important is because I can take a lot of damage as I'm going in and doing damage to the enemy, but then pull out and have my hull regenerate a lot faster, so I don't have to use heals as much. I can let my hull actually heal itself a little faster. Very important for an escort, because your hull strength is going to go down real fast. It's going to go down pretty good. But if you can get the regeneration rate up on it really high, that can help negate some of that effect. So I think that's best suited for an escort. Again, science stuff, leave it alone. Shield regeneration, I'm not worried about my shields regenerating or my shield hardness and that kind of stuff. I'd rather put points into other things. So we come here to weapon amplification, very important. This skill increases the bonus damage that your weapons inflict when landing a critical hit. So this is a higher critical hit damage. Very important if you're doing DPS. You want a higher critical hit and you want a higher critical chance. You want to get your crits going like crazy and you want to hit hard. So you max out weapon amplification and then you max out weapon specialization. This one is critical chance. So we have critical chance boosted and we have critical severity boosted, so that we can do some really big critical hits. We can do a lot of critical hits and we can do some big critical hits. That's just very important. It makes sense for a tactical escort DPS build, so that's where you go with that. Now we go down to the captain's row, and here you will notice I have some science powers, and we'll go over that in a second. Defensive subsystem tuning and offensive subsystem tuning. Now, I was able to put some points in here because after I had filled out my tactical stuff that I wanted, I still had like 7 points left over that I could have put somewhere else. So I looked over here, and this one is really cool. This one is offensive subsystem tuning. This one was a must. This skill improves the amount of subsystem power available to your weapons and engines. So I am all about doing offensive damage as a tactical escort. So each point of weapon subsystem power improves the base damage dealt by your starship energy weapons, and then your starship's turn rate by your engine speed, your engine subsystem power. So this was important, and I maxed it out, of course. Weapon subsystem performance maxed out. This is going to give me more weapon damage and more engine, or more weapon power and more engine power, which will lead to more weapon damage and more turnability and movability with my ship. So that was a must. Offensive sounds great. I also went with the ability of the engine subsystem performance. This skill improves the amount of subsystem power available to your engine, so I did both weapon and engine. So this is a totally offensive build, but I had enough points left over. I was able to put a couple into defense as well, just so that I could stay alive just a little bit longer. This is improves the amount of subsystem power available to your shields and aux subsystems. Each point of shield subsystem power, so basically more aux power or shield power. I went with aux power, and the reason why is because there is a certain Nukara trait that everybody knows about. You have to have it if you're into DPS at all, and it's an ability where it takes your auxiliary power, and however much auxiliary power you have, or based on that auxiliary power, adds more damage to your weapons, basically. Also, there's a console that's similar to that, where it is also affected by more aux power. If you have more aux power, it affects crit damage and chance, I think, as well. And I think I have that console equipped. So, aux power was more important than shield power here. Having my aux power as high as possible can actually help me do a lot more damage as well. So, that is, even though it's a defensive, trait or skill here, it's actually helping me offensively. So, it benefits me. Now, if you're not using those kinds of traits or abilities where aux power is not, helping you in some way, that would be useless. You have to make sure you have those traits or console or whatever being used where aux power can boost your damage. I can show you that trait too if you're not familiar with it, but it is in the Nukara reputation. I think it's an offensive trait. Before we go to the science, let's skip over here to tactical. Hull penetration. This skill increases the damage dealt by your weapons by penetrating your enemy's resistances. Each point of this skill grants your weapons plus 0.1 armor penetration. Obviously, as a tactical character, you want to max that out. And then shield weakening. I had enough to put in shield weakening. If there was one that I would have left out in tactical, if I needed, you know, skill points somewhere else, I probably would have left off shield weakening. But I had enough points, excuse me, to go ahead and put in shield weakening. So I did. By default, most energy starship shields will prevent 90% of the damage dealt by your weapons from reaching the hull, and apply this damage instead to their shields. For each point of shield weakening skill, this resulting damage applied to shields will be increased by 0.1%. So, yeah, plus 15 shield weakening. I had enough to put there, so I did. But I think what's really important, especially if you want to do a lot of damage as a tactical character on an escort, is this science ability here. This is the one science ability that I would recommend if you don't have any science abilities on a tactical escort at all. This is the one ability I would recommend, and that is long-range targeting sensors. Because check this out. This skill reduces the weapon damage penalty incurred by being distant from your target. Remember, I said that the farther away you are from your enemy, the less damage you do. The closer you are, the more damage you do. Well, this helps reduce that penalty, so you can do more damage farther away, which in turn will help you stay alive a little bit longer as an escort. It says here, by default, being far away from your foe can cause all energy weapons to lose up to 50% of their potential base damage. That's half, guys, half of their damage. This penalty starts at 0% while at 2 kilometers or closer, and scales up to 50% loss when at exactly 10 kilometers from the target. Each rank of long-range targeting sensor reduces the penalty by 10%. So you are only literally doing max damage at 2 kilometers or closer. You know how close that is, guys? When you're 2 kilometers or closer to a Borg cube, you are not going to survive, because the Borg cube will use a tractor beam on you, and they'll use that drain ability that'll make your shields go bye-bye, and as an escort, you go blowy. You just disintegrate if you're within 2 kilometers or closer of a Borg cube. However, that's how you do max damage. It's the only targeting range you're going to do max damage, but you can reduce that penalty by using long-range targeting sensors. So here's the max ability of that. Maximum distance penalty is minus 20%. So this reduces that penalty. Very important. I think that's kind of probably important on any build if you want to do DPS, because literally the farther away you are, you're going to do a whole lot less damage. And the only way to do maximum damage would be to be 2 kilometers or closer of your enemy. Holy crap, you'd be dead already. So you do need to kind of shoot farther away, and you don't want all your energy weapons to lose their potential, so you need this advanced long-range targeting sensors. I think that's very important. So just don't. I think this right here is going to would be a big impact. I haven't tested it specifically, but I would imagine that this one skill here could probably affect your DPS quite a bit, because it's all going to be based on distance. Okay, now we go to the final Admiral. I had but one tactical here, Tactical Readiness. This skill provides a bonus to your ability recharge times. It's going to help reduce the recharge time for tactical bridge officer abilities. You could go all the way up to 3, but I don't think that you really need to reduce the time on those abilities too much. I actually have some, because there are DOF abilities, you see, here's why. There are DOF abilities, there are DOFs out there that will reduce the recharge time on your tactical abilities if you use the right DOFs. There's DOFs that'll recharge like torpedo stuff and other things. So you can use DOFs to offset the needing to use tactical readiness, basically. Coordination protocols. This is more about hanger pets, and I am not using hanger pets, so forget that. And then I had 1 point left over, so I put it in shield mastery. Not that it would really help me much, but I thought, well, a little bit of defense. Every several seconds you will gain shield mastery while this effect is active. The next critical hit you suffer will be completely negated. I haven't really seen this benefit me much yet. Maybe it is, I don't know. But where I did put most of my points in under Admiral is here. Warp Core Potential, Improved Warp Core Potential, and Warp Core Efficiency. This is Something I felt very important, power. Power levels are always extremely important for anything, any build, and I did not want to sacrifice power on this build. So Warp Core Potential, this skill improves the amount of subsystem power available to all 4 subsystems, plus 3 to all subsystem power. This one further increases it, plus 2, so your total subsystem power bonus is plus 5. So you have a 5 higher power on all 4 subsystems. That's just awesome. I mean, you have to have that. And then, Warp Core Efficiency, this skill provides an additional subsystem power to any subsystem that is set below 75. The bonus starts at 0 when your subsystem target is set at 75 and scales up to plus 10 when your subsystem target is set to 15. Again, just all about getting my power and keeping it as high as I can. Now, I know that's a mouthful right there, but honestly, what you'll notice here is that just most of everything is in tactical. For a tactical escort build, I think that makes a lot of sense. You want everything in tactical. You want 2 things: everything in tactical, and number 2, power. So you got to think about power, everything in tactical, then your impulse speed, and then maybe some defenses. That's kind of the order I would think about. But that's if you want to make a pure DPS build. If you want to do different kinds of builds, obviously this won't fit for you, but this fits for me. And like I said, what you're seeing here, I am getting with the Crinum Warship and my current setup, 45k DPS. That is not bad. That is not bad. So consider that. Okay, now let's look at the bottom down here, the things that open up. Naturally, one point of putting so much into tactical is to open up this ability here called Focused Frenzy. Mark the target foe and devote all available resources to taking them down. Each time you hit the marked foe with an energy weapon, your weapon's firing cycles will speed up progressively faster and faster. This is basically haste. This is a weapon haste. Your haste will increase. So, I did not, in this run you're about to see in ISA, I didn't get to use it that well. But if you can use this thing properly and use it well, you can do a whole lot more damage to your enemy by increasing that cycle haste. But with this run I didn't get to use it well. If I used it well, I probably would have been over 50k. I think this ability can help. And then of course I got one little extra ability to buff on it. Frenzied Assault. Also gain a stacking damage bonus with each hit. And I thought that was very important. So not only do we get an increased cycle haste, but we also add a stacking damage bonus with it. So our haste is increasing and our damage is increasing on top of that with that ability. That's why this ability has a ton of potential. You just have to make sure you do that ultimate enhancers on top of it, and this one called Frenzied Assault. So that's why I wanted to make sure to get 25 into tactical, so that I could get that Focused Frenzy and then Frenzied Assault on top of it. And those 2 things there will help you do a lot of damage. And then just for the other abilities, we'll go over them real quick. I chose Hanger Weaponry because I didn't want Threat. I chose Projectile Critical Damage. I chose Energy Critical Damage. And I chose Defense over Accuracy. And then up here I chose Battery Expertise, Subsystem Repair, and Engine Subsystem Power, so even more engine power there. And then for the Science, I didn't get any unlocked at all under Science because I have like 4 points in Science, so don't even care about Science on this one. Totally not. So 17, 4, 25, that's my build. As you're going to see in the ISA run, that yielded 45k, so I'm happy with that. I will also use a similar build on Rami Summers on that playthrough, so you will also see that she's probably going to start doing a lot of damage now too. Let's see, what else? Let's go into space real quick, and I will show you what my power levels and settings and everything is at. I'll show you that trait as well I was talking about with the auxiliary, in case you don't know about that. and I'll show you the Focused Frenzied ability. Here's the Focused Frenzied ability right here. Target foe to self. When damaging marked foe with energy weapons, you gain a frenzy stack. You get an 8% firing cycle haste for energy weapons. And with Frenzied Assault turned on, I have a plus 8% all damage for 15 seconds, and that stacks. And then I have Frenzied Reactions, minus 0.5 seconds to the current recharge time of abilities. So all of that there with Focused Frenzy, and it really does make a difference. Unfortunately, I can't enable it outside of combat, but it would add to my damage if I were able to. So just keep that in mind. With that Frenzied Assault, you are gaining damage with the haste, which is really nice. Here's my power levels: 123, 87 shield, 70 engine, 67 auxiliary. Now how does auxiliary help me? There's a console I have. My menu thing's huge. Where is it? I believe it's one of these. Yes, here we go. Temporal Disentanglement Suite. You have a critical chance based on auxiliary power level and a critical severity based on auxiliary power level. So this console will increase your critical chance and critical severity up to those numbers it says there based on your auxiliary power level. So the higher auxiliary you have, the more crit chance and crit severity from that console. But then there's the traits. It is a reputation trait. This one here, power. You get auxiliary power configuration. In space combat, you gain a damage and accuracy boost based on your auxiliary power level. So with aux power, I have more damage. I'm getting plus 3.4% all damage based on my auxiliary power level. So that's just a little trait that can help you do a little more damage as well based on your aux power. So that's why in the skills I put that into aux power, even on an escort. It helps. Look at all those things I've got: Synergy Amp, Shield Mastery, Scratch the Paint, Maneuvering Thrusters, Fleet Research Lab, Combat Performance Boost Tier 3, 700 Day, Wingman, and Reciprocity. Man, ton of stuff. And I haven't even used any buttons to turn buffs on. And then of course Iconian, that really helps. So I'm doing let's see what I got here. Let's see. 61,000 hold, 12,000 shield. My crit severity 108.5%. Is that just because I enabled this, or is that normal? No, that's normal. I have a crit severity of 108.5%. Very nice. And my crit chance is very high too, 17.3%. So there you go. That really helps, having all that up there. My defense is, oh, my hole went down. Oh, that's because I guess I had that on. Okay. My defense is 31.7%. Now if I increase my speed, there we go. You see my impulse speed now going, I'm moving at regular impulse speed, has made my defense go up to 97, almost 100% defense. My power transfer rate, EPS, is at 310%. That's where I like it. Now, yeah, I have an EPS console, and some people are saying I don't need this anymore. I could, yeah. How much does that remove that? A whole 100%. No way, man. I gotta have that EPS. I gotta have that power transfer rate. Forget it. I want it. And look how fast I'm moving just on regular impulse speed, because my impulse is so high in the skills. So I can't show you the Focused Frenzy outside of combat, but excuse me. In the ISO run, you will see it. Let's look real quick at my individual weapon damage I'm doing. 2302 DPS on my dual heavy cannons. And then this, that's a different one. And then this one is 2064 on my dual phaser beam bank. So pretty high DPS even without using buffs, but then, you know, I used that and that and that. Oh, and even aux power. And I can increase this to like 3421 or 3461 and 3860. So I can really buff my DPS by using all the things that buff DPS. And of course that's without oh, wait a minute, you know what ability I just realized I'm missing? All this time I just realized I don't have my tactical ability on here, do I? Wow, this whole time I haven't even been using that. So there's something else. Where is it? I'll show you the one I'm talking about. Tactical Fleet. I don't have Tactical Fleet on here. I have not been using Tactical Fleet this entire time. Oh my gosh. Now why is Tactical Fleet important, you ask? Well, look at it. It has an all damage increase for 30 seconds. So turning that on increases the damage of your weapons. Now it's at 3,000 just with that. So I even have not been using that. So basically guys, I did 45K, and you'll see it in the ISA run, without using Tactical Fleet 3. No Tactical Fleet at all. And I was doing that. Wow. Maybe, let's see, it's a team buff, right? It affects friend and self, so maybe there were others using it. But if I had enabled it, it would have increased the DPS even more. So I definitely would have probably done 50k DPS. Wow. I got a lot of room for potential here, because I am not using all my abilities. My weapons are not that great either. You'll notice I have no pen, no crit D. I do have damage. They say damage is now more important on a tactical escort. But I still have these old accuracy weapons, accuracy damage weapons. These are from a long time ago, which they used to be good. Accuracy used to be the thing, but it's not anymore. So I could even improve my weapons by doing crit Ds, damage, pen, and make these epic. I could be doing even more damage with my weapons, and then this whole time I wasn't even using Tactical Fleet, and you'll see in the run, wasn't even using Tactical Fleet. And I still got that high DPS, so there's a lot. I mean, I'm at 45, but I can definitely go higher with this build. So anyway, what I'm trying to say, guys, is that this setup here in the skill system is great for a tactical escort character doing DPS, and I am able to stay alive pretty well. You will notice I did not blow up at all in the ISA run. Might have come close, but I was able to heal enough. I have a lot of healy things. You know, I've got that and that and that and that and that. So, you know, I can heal. Oh, and Lone Wolf also does that. So, I got a lot of healing things. I can stay alive. I can do damage yet still stay alive. Very cool. Very cool. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is cut to that ISA. Again, no commentary during the ISA. I had the microphone off, so I'll put some nice music to it. Just sit back, enjoy the run. At the end, I am _Dr. Or at _Dr. You will see my DPS 45.1k. With this build, without even using all my abilities and weapons that could stand improvement, and you will see that I am doing excellent damage with this build. Very proud of it. I'm very happy of it. I did this one myself. I didn't research anything on other builds. I haven't looked at anybody's other builds for a tactical build here. I haven't taken any advice really. I just kind of tried out a couple of things and have done it myself. Hopefully this helps somebody out there, and enjoy. Next, I will be doing an engineering one next weekend, so I hope you all enjoy. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.